This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Ice Arena for some 2v2 matches. And I thought this was a 2v2 show match, but the replays must have gotten mixed up because there were actually 3 sets of players playing across these 2v2 games. And 2 of the sets of players did not do very well, so we're just going to be checking out the final set of players and the games that they played. So, in the north, playing the Traveler 59, playing red, this is Futurama. Meanwhile, his teammate, as the orange nod, this is Shoktrepet. On the south side of the map, playing blue, this is the Traveler 59, Rex. And as the GDI, this is BikeRush owns. And we have another switch up of players. Futurama and Shoktrepet going toe-to-toe against Bike and Rex. Again, I don't know what is going on here. I'm not sure why these games were played in a row and the names keep changing. But, anyways, we've got more 2v2 action here in 103. Still seeing a lot of very similar factions. We haven't seen Steel Talons or Zocom. We've only seen Marked of Kane once. Nod and Black Hand we've seen a couple of times. Traveler 59 we've seen every game. No Scrin, no Vanilla Scrin, and only Reaper 17 a couple of times. But at least we have seen it a couple of times, unlike Steel Talons, Scrin, and Zocom. Completely absent from this set of games. Scouting squads coming out. Futurama and Shoktrepet. Ooh, going to be utilizing the crane as well. And actually gets spotted by BikeRush. So he had a scouting squad come through at some point. And we have a buzzer for the rescout. I'm not sure where BikeRush's scout ended up going. But oh, there it is. It crossed the middle of their base. And you keep vision for so long in Command and Conquer that you can still see the middle of someone's base, 30 seconds after your units are gone. One of those things about Command and Conquer. Expansions coming up for all 4 players. Shoktrepet already has his refinery deployed, even a little bit faster than pretty much everyone else. BikeRush owns has his up, and Futurama does now as well. Still nothing from Rex. A little bit slower on that 3rd refinery than everyone else. And is there a reason? Could be this portal. Well, it's up now, so I guess it doesn't really matter one way or the other. BikeRush owns comes in with the pit bulls and the APCs, rather. It does seem like BikeRush owns has been getting a lot done with this Pitbull APC attack in 1.03. I'm not sure if that is the buffs. I think Harvesters have been made a little bit more vulnerable in 103. Lots of changes have happened over the course of 103. Another Pitbull does go down, mines directly on the front door of that War Factory to try and catch some units, as the APCs do manage to find at least 1 kill. They finally do get it. The missile squad does get ejected out of that APC, but it immediately gets killed off anyways. The second Harvester does go down. This damage is getting difficult to deal with when you consider how much Shoktrepet has spent on defense and the fact that he's lost these Harvesters with Tiberium in them. Fortunately, Rex's attack doesn't find a lot of additional damage, but BikeRush owns is still harassing in the north. He's still got a couple of more shots to fire, and he will eventually go down, but he does some nice damage to those Harvesters. And of course, BikeRush owns, well, he might sneak back in with an airfield. He might send in a couple of Orcas. It looks like he's not going to be doing that in this game. But you always got to be concerned about the Orca counterattack, about the sneaky Orcas along the northern edge of the map, perhaps diving in on these half-health Harvesters from earlier. But for now, BikeRush owns is going for the double War Factory. He's got the command post, but I don't think any airfield has been added on, and instead, both teams turn their attention to the south as Rex goes on the attack. and then backs on up. He's not too worried about doing critical damage, it seems. He just wants to put on a little bit of pressure and then go, I was just kidding. Don't come over here, stay over there. It's Descents, Gunwalkers, and Seeker Tanks on both sides of the attack. As Gunwalker's going to be pushing forward. Lightning Spike gets called in. BikeRush owns, finds a little bit of damage. It is the Orcas coming back in. Scorpion Tanks getting popped one after the other, and these Predator Tanks may not have their upgrades, but they are still a force to be reckoned with. Mind Control comes in from Futurama, able to grab one of those Predator Tanks and turn it against BikeRush owns. Meanwhile, Rex has been able to hold his expansion in the south, keep control of that area, and ooh, Shoktrepet down 20 grand in total resources gathered compared to everyone else who's close to 60k total resources gathered, and Shoktrepet is approaching 40k total resources gathered. A big difference between these players. Orca Strike going to be coming in. Harvester is off the line, but the Pitbulls are going to be pushing in once again. Oh, the MCV! The MCV gets grabbed, but it gets returned to Team Red. Some random shots being fired against it will take its health down, and at least Futurama has control of it. He denies that income from Team Blue as Team Red reclaims it. Harvester's getting hunted to the edge of the map here as BikeRush owns and Rex find more and more damage against Team Red. 3 blue Tiberium Harvesters in the middle of the map will meet their demise as Railguns have finally finished up and BikeRush owns sets up shop in the middle of the map. A Storm Column here, the assist coming in from Rex, his prodigy as well, hunting for those targets. The area mind control turning the Gunwalkers against Futurama and opening up even more area for BikeRush owns to send his attacks. Another Harvester goes down. 2 Harvesters eliminated here. Shoktrepet, desperate to get any kind of money, just leaves the game. MCV did eventually get sold off, and there's going to be the Buzzer Swarm support power called in, but the dodging is good. Futurama now stands alone 1v2 against Bike and Rex. He is down on total resources gathered compared to this team of 2 that he faces, but he is going to be sticking it out for a few moments longer, hoping to turn the tide of this battle, hoping to focus all of his attention in the north and somehow come out with a win. It's Juggernaut's Watchtowers, constant production from 2 war factories. It is unassailable as Futurama leaves the game, and Bike and Rex clean up another match here in this 2v2 series. And if you buy a house in a red zone, well, that just might be an Unsound investment, which is of course the battleground for the next game, featuring the Orange Traveler 59, always playing Scrin. This is Rex. And on the other side of the rift, loving his GDI, this is BikeRush owns. Meanwhile, on the south side, wishing they had sold high, this is Shoktrepet playing Nod. And also loving that Scrin playing Traveler 59. This is Futurama. Futurama and Shoktrepet versus Bike and Rex. The 2v2 action continues. And now we're on one of the classic maps that ships with Kane's Wrath. Unsound Investment. Still works as an FFA map, but it's almost a 2v2 map. It almost lines up as a 2v2 map. And of course, because you can build off of your allies' stuff, it works a lot better as a 2v2 map. Oh, that Rifleman squad so close to getting the kill, but just not able to do it. The Buzzer squad will get a pretty decent scout of BikeRush's base. Also, APC going to the corner, possibly an engineer over there for... Wait, what is it for? What is it for? For a second, I was thinking there was a tib spike hidden in the corner, but no. That's not the case on one of these maps. Not the case at all. And that Buzzer Hive, that Buzzer Squad, rather, just getting a pretty massive scout here. BikeRush hoping nobody noticed his APC, but I think a couple of bikes and a couple of buggies did notice it. And they're headed dead into the corner. They will find it. Engineer might be able to pop into the bunker or something. Just delays the inevitable. And now the APC may go down, but the engineer will be safe in there for quite some time. Only a couple of bikes, only a couple of buggies. It's going to take them a while to actually break down that bunker. And, well, they just decide it's not worth it. Buzzer Squad going to go in there and clear up that engineer. Nice combo there from Futurama and Shoktrepet. Identify the threat, shut it down, and use the best combination of units to do it. Excellently done there by those guys. Takes a team to shut down those sneaky engineer plays sometimes. Meanwhile, the scouting does continue. Futurama getting pretty darn good buzzer scouting of both players. Sees a lot of what Bike and Rex are both up to, which isn't much. It's pretty much just standard stuff from both of them. There weren't any sneaky plays to suss out. It was just, hey, they're doing normal stuff and they're going to be sending some APCs, some pit bulls, some predator tanks to your base in a minute, so you better be ready for it. Fortunately, a militant squad did manage to grab that bunker, stops BikeRush from capturing that bunker right next to his opponent's base. And BikeRush says, you're not the only one who's allowed to have a base here. He brings his own MCV. He just brings his MCV to the party. And now the Descents are going to be pushing forward. BikeRush may have overstayed his welcome, but the Descents have now also overstayed their welcome. They're going to be getting completely shut down. They do manage to nab a pit bull, but that is a little bit of gain for a lot of loss. The bunker gets cleared out. Those buzzer hives are excellent at that. And now Shoktrepet and Futurama have so much pressure that they need to deal with right outside of Shoktrepet's base. Scorpion tanks are a good choice. The War Factory is unfortunately kind of placed here with the double rocket squad inside of that bunker. It makes it that much harder to hold this area, and Futurama desperately needs to deploy a buzzer hive there, but it looks like he does get the clear on the bunker. Predator tanks and Scorpions going to be trading back and forth. Meanwhile, the Scrin players also going to be tangoing on the north side of the map. A little bit of float coming in for everyone. More harvesters are being bugged as well, and it's going to be photon cannons, laser turrets, Scorpion tanks trying to hold the line, but it's a fresh War Factory onto the front line for BikeRush, who doesn't have a ton of economy to back this up. Just 2 refineries back at home, so he really needs to get the value out of this attack. He really needs to make the damage critical and pretty much win the game from this. Otherwise, it's going to be an awkward retreat back home. Futurama going to be turning his army south. He is coming across the map to help out Shoktrepet, and Futurama is going to be able to crush this future attack from BikeRush. The GG comes in, and Bike and Rex drop out of the game. Futurama and Shoktrepet put a point on the board. Sometimes it is defense that wins you the day, not the offense, but just blocking all the attempts. And that's going to be maybe a little bit easier and a little bit harder, because here on Desert Rampage, everybody starts with blue Tiberium, and you don't have to move your MCV for the expansion fields either. Kicking it off in the north, this is Rex playing that Traveler 59, playing GDI once again. It's BikeRush. Meanwhile, in the south, finally getting a win, this is Shoktrepet, and of course playing Traveler 59, this is Futurama. Futurama, is he not going Crane? That's actually a little bit crazy that he is not going Crane with this blue Tiberium first. Everybody's got to go Crane, but no, both of the Scrin players are not going Crane in this case. They are going to be letting their counterparts, Bike and Shock, do the craning of this game. BikeRush gets 3 harvesters onto the blue Tiberium, deploys the extra refinery over there at the green field, War Factory as well, but he's actually going to be sending all 4 harvesters over to that blue Tiberium. Crane hidden away in Rex's base. He's going to be keeping an eye on Rex's base with that crane. And the crane's also getting beaconed there. As BikeRush cleans up the scouting squad and he says, hey, my opponent has a crane. I don't know, maybe he's going to call in an Orca strike on it or something. But command hub is now done. The command post finishes up. Could be straight into an airfield, or it could just be more production, more economy from BikeRush. Couple of gunwalkers, couple of seeker tanks moving around. It is an airfield. Orca strike, Orca strike, Orca strike. Crossing the map. And there's the Orca strike getting called in. Let's see. It doesn't look like it's going to hit the crane. No, it's on top of a power plant, though, next to the upgraded power plant. Oh, poor BikeRush. He's wasting his time with that one. Oh, well, that was one of the least eventful Orca strikes of the last year. Descents are here. We got ourselves some gunwalkers as well, trading blows back and forth. Descents catching descents. It's a descent party for both of these Traveler 59 players. Futurama, he's going to try and overwhelm Rex with all of the attacks, with all of the avenues of attack. And actually, he breaks through over here. He will get caught by these watchtowers. They already have AP ammo. They are ready to go as well. Hammerhead shows up just to add a little bit of extra firepower to this, and Futurama's attack gets completely gutted here as he has to run for the hills. He has to head back and hope that he can make his stand on the green Tiberium fields. Orca's coming in, hunting these harvesters, looking for some kills. Decent amount of SAM sites already deployed, courtesy of Shoktrepet. And BikeRush putting pressure on the main base. Well, I guess it's all one base, really, on this map. Mine drop coming in from the Nod player will be able to help push back this GDI army, and Futurama still unable to find any value in these attacks. Shoktrepet starting to float a little bit, but no one is floating worse than BikeRush, who has 8K in the bank. And Futurama is keeping his money as low as he can. BikeRush putting some pressure onto these harvesters, sniping one after the other. An obelisk comes in, and the obelisk will push this back. We got ourselves a Marv Reclamator hub. I guess that's why BikeRush wasn't spending all of his cash. His MCV was on the move. No! He's actually got 2 MCVs, so he did sell off his crane, but he's got 2 build queues regardless, and it is going to be a Prodigy getting spotted in the middle of the map. Sonic emitters here onto the front line. No railguns just yet, but we do have potentially our first epic unit of this series going to be entering the map. A Marv from GDI, and it took Blue Tiberium to get it. Laser capacitors will allow these Scorpions to trade a little bit better versus those Predator tanks, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to get very much done regardless. Maybe they'll find a sneaky backdoor attack to be able to do something with it. And BikeRush, that float has been put to use. Whether it's good use or not, I don't know, but he has at least spent all of his money, and he is back down where he should be. Couple of Venoms are here. They get the spot on the Marv right as it emerges. This AA battery is going to be pushing those Venoms away for now. More and more units being encroached upon as Blue takes the EMP control center in the middle of the map, and nothing has been done to stop BikeRush from pushing down the left side of the map. Rex not quite going as aggressive here, and we do have Spectre shots landing on this Marv. They may time out to get that splash damage onto the Engineers, but no, the Engineers do get inside of the Marv. One of them actually may have just died. Nicely done there. The Spectres line up. The Vertigos find their shots. It's going to be slow field on top of the Marv, on top of the Juggernauts as they're coming back in. Those reinforcements getting slowed down, buying some additional time for this Nod player to refuel and rearm those Vertigos. Juggernauts can be sniped quite easily. Oh, that was a lot of Vertigos used on just a single Juggernaut. Meanwhile, the Marv tanking more and more shots. The slow field comes in, and the Juggernauts have found their mark. They have found the kill on that airfield, shutting down the Vertigos and stopping any future reinforcements. Those bombing runs have come to an end as Rex brings his entire army to the front line as well. The backstab in the back of BikeRush's base. He's going to be losing a couple of harvesters, but that's okay. He has got more money than he knows what to do with, and he's got more of an army than he needs at this point. Futurama comes over. He is contesting Rex as much as he can, 1-4-1 from the Scrin faction, and BikeRush owns. He's going to try and buy a little bit more time for his Juggernauts. If he could land the shots, his Juggernauts could be doing massive damage to these tripods and to these Gunwalkers, but the shots just haven't come through. Finally, they're starting to fire as the Spectre Artilleries once again find their target. The Marv absorbing more and more damage. The mine drop on top of the Marv, massive DPS to that Marv, and the Prodigy escapes once again from the front line, locking down a couple of these Juggernauts, but nothing to actually kill them. Mind control from the cultists. Rex trying to create as many problems as he can for Futurama. Meanwhile, the Eradicator Hexpod will be phased. It will not be shut down by these tripods. It will not be EMP'd and eliminated. It's going to be an orbital bombardment on the left side of the map, and BikeRush owns, moves his MCV closer, ever closer to the base of Shoktrepet, who has less and less on the front line to actually deal with this attack. His Spectre Artillery have been deleted. They are just off the map, it seems, as the cultists come in, turning those avatars against Shoktrepet, and the Venoms will try and hunt the cultists, but it is so little, so late. Once again, an EMP will land. It's going to be Shockwave Artillery as the return fire, as some of these tripods will be locked down, and Futurama's attempt at a rescue may turn into his own demise as every tripod goes down, and the Gunwalkers fire uselessly at a Marv with multiple engineers and a war factory right next to it. The Eradicator is out of phase, and the Eradicator is here onto the front line. No repairs, but at least it's keeping these descents busy as they sap its health bar down to 0, down below half. The Spectre Artillery's once again finding their mark. The MCV gets caught. The MCV gets sold. Futurama, he is not giving up. Never for a moment does he falter as BikeRush owns, calls in an attack and just cannot kill this Prodigy for the life of him. His Marv goes down, his attack falling flat, his Juggernauts exposed to the Spectres and exposed to the Scorpions, but the Eradicator is still here. Rex not giving up. No chance of him finding a route back home from this point forward. Mortison's coming in, trying to close the distance, and Futurama has found so much damage. That mind control from the Prodigy saving Team Red for yet another second, but it hasn't saved them from this Eradicator just yet. No heals on this Eradicator, so its health bar is getting lower and lower. Gunwalkers desperately fighting against anything on the ground, as it is just a minimum number of units from both sides. BikeRush owns basically absent from this fight. It's all about Rex two-manning Shoktrepet and Futurama, but just Shoktrepet now as Futurama taps out. And he was able to slow the attack, but he hasn't been able to stop it. And Shoktrepet defeats the Eradicator right as BikeRush's forces come back online. The engineers capturing those Juggernauts, bringing them back up to full strength. The Hammerheads finding target after target. And finally, the tripods have gotten into the main base of Shoktrepet. The GG comes out. Hope against hope. But the crushing boot of BikeRush and Rex continues to fall. Futurama, with the hero status right at the end of his life in this game, finds a little bit of momentum, but nowhere near enough to turn the boulder around and start pushing it back up the mountain. That'll do it for that game as we head into the next match. And welcome to Wasteland Circles, a map we've been seeing more and more in the last year. Kind of an odd map overall, but maybe we can see some great games on it today. Kicking it off as Team Red. Once again, they are GDI and Traveler. This is Rex and Bike. Meanwhile, on the south side, Traveler and Nod. Team Blue, it's Futurama and Shoktrepet. keeping hope alive as long as they can. Double tip spike in the back of the base. I was thinking there was a mutant hovel on this map, but I guess there isn't. I guess not. But yeah, the layout of this map is definitely a little bit weird. Start with a nice big shared field, and then you've got this little backdoor natural expansion. But then after that, it gets kind of weird. You got this half field in the middle of the map, blue Tiberium in the dead center, little teeny tiny field here on the outer edge, and then a reduced field in the corners that it looks like will grow pretty large. I think that's the edge of the growth area there. So if you let it grow out, it will get very big, at least this size. And it would be a nice thing to have late game, but this map laid out a little bit differently than we typically see. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I don't mind maps not being the same kind of cookie cutter layout every single time. This one, it's not asymmetrical, but it does feel a little bit asymmetrical because it's not this perfect split of, like, everyone has their starting field, everyone has their natural, and then everyone has a third as well. It's a little bit more oddly shaped, a little bit less typical, and I enjoy seeing that. But what is typical is this attack coming out from BikeRush. He loves this APC rocket, and it seems with those improved rocket speeds in 103, he is finding kills with it. He is getting damage done with this early APC Pitbull attack. So often in 1.02 plus, this APC Pitbull attack just doesn't do anything. But getting a couple of kills here, finds a couple of bikes, finds a couple of seeker tanks. Ooh, gonna get a second bike basically for free. Shoktrepet giving those guys away, it seems. But who cares if you're losing a couple of bikes as long as you shut down this attack. We'll see how quickly they can shut this down. BikeRush going to be pulling back. Rex trying to push forward with a couple of extra seeker tanks, trying to find a couple of more harvesters. Bike's going to be coming back around. Shoktrepet being kept on his side of the map. I think those bikes were originally supposed to cross the map and do some damage, and instead they're back here defending. Harvester very low on health. It goes down. That's one down, a second down below half as more reinforcements show up for Rex. That's two harvesters down. Shoktrepet, who's been struggling in the eco game for a couple of these matches, finds himself down two harvesters on the expansion. He still has his harvesters in his main. He's still cooking with a little bit of gas left in the tank, but never hurts. It never helps when you are the lowest total resources gathered player in the game, and then you lose two more harvesters, and now you're 4K per minute down in resources gathered. He is not feeling good compared to his opponents. But harvester counts can be rebuilt. He's managed to hold on to his tech, and they didn't lose too much to it, I hope. We'll see how they're able to handle these other attacks. Rex has a couple of blue Tiberium harvesters in the middle of the map. BikeRush coming in with a couple of Orca, well, with an Orca strike. Oh, gets lucky, tags the harvester on the dock, and now he's looking to swing around back into the main, into the middle of the map. Harvesters, it looks like, have been able to escape from the middle, and it looks like they've since getting caught and killed. So many groups of units from Team Blue getting caught outside of their optimal attack areas and just getting crushed. So much money wasted in descents and gunwalkers that just fall basically for free from Team Blue. A little bit of blue Tiberium stolen by Rex, and now he's got the army pushing in through the front door. He's going to be maybe giving away a couple of descents and seeker tanks here at Shoktrepet's base. Nice slow field. That actually is an amazing choke point for this slow field. BikeRush going to be just reforming his army as he leaves town and gets out of here. Harvester going for the was that a decoy harvester? I'm not sure what just happened there, but decoy harvester perhaps being eliminated. Slow field is now gone. Harvester back to the blue Tiberium. BikeRush owns, covering his own expansion with these attacks. And that's one of the differences between the team in the north and the team in the south, is Team Red has been putting on the pressure, which has kept BikeRush's forward expansion completely safe. It's kept this backdoor expansion that Rex has been exploiting completely safe. It's given BikeRush the opportunity to expand into the corner. Couple of Venoms. I'm not sure where that Prodigy ended up going, but it will get sniped. It tried to do the reverse. It tried to double back on him, but he does manage to get the kill. But at what cost? Pretty much every single one of the Venoms went down, and BikeRush owns undoubtedly just waiting for railguns. Never mind, they have already finished. Eradicator Hexapod out on the field. Something tells me that it's from Team Red and not Team Blue. Hammerheads, railguns, APCs, everything that you could ask for from a GDI player except Juggernauts here on the field in the south. BikeRush owns, he's going to be forming up for an attack, but maybe Futurama will be bringing that attack to him. Another Prodigy snipe by Shoktrepet, nicely done. Back down to the south side of the map. We've got ourselves a pack. We've got ourselves a couple of tripods. I guess BikeRush owns is just buying a little bit of time. Maybe he wants to have sonic emitters to help meet this. I think he can just crush this attack. I'm not sure why he pulled back so far, but he's going to be engaging now. The tripods won't be long for this world as the gunwalkers try to deal with the APCs. The pack getting some free damage in because there's no slingshots, no firehawks to deal with that pack. Phase will fire off, and now the Hammerhead's going to be showing up. They're going for the backstab, and it's going to be a couple of tripods moving in for the crush. Still a number of Predator tanks here on the front line, and BikeRush owns was right to retreat from that fight to buy a little bit more time and to wait for more reinforcements to arrive because that pack is powerful. Those tripods didn't die very quickly. Meanwhile, on the north side of the map, the Scorpion tanks keeping up the pressure. They will actually be able to snipe that warp chasm, stop any future production from that facility, and Shoktrepet finding some damage onto the north side of the map. He's also covering an expansion with that attack. He's taking an additional Tiberium field, and BikeRush owns still has no anti-air. Slingshots should be on the way. They should be headed towards this area, but no, BikeRush owns continuing to just work with what is on the ground. Reverse move, catching that Predator tank, stopping it from returning home and sending it back to the front line. Eradicator Hexapod may have actually... Did they actually kill the Eradicator? I'm not sure how he managed to get the kill. A couple of more Predator tanks going to be getting popped there. 1, 2 get eliminated. At least there is a little bit of anti-air here. Sonic emitter not coming in, but a storm column shows up. Rocket spots finally able to clean up those packs, and now the tripods are all that remains for BikeRush to deal with. He's mostly got infantry, a couple of SAM sites and plasma missile batteries clearing out those hammerheads, and it's going to be Overlord's Wrath on top of the tripods. Nice blink back by Futurama to save a couple of the tripods. Cultists come in onto the front line, but they end up going down, and BikeRush owns has not been able to push back this attack, and Rex has not been able to stop these Scorpion tanks who are now backstabbing BikeRush. Futurama and Shoktrepet find a second kill. Bike and Rex, they are not invincible, and they get knocked down a peg as Futurama holds the line, and Shoktrepet gets the kill that counts. It seems there is an agreement all around. That last game went well enough for everybody that they decide to keep the same factions as we switch it up to Pipeline Fusion, the 2v2 variant of Pipeline Problems. And that does mean everyone starts with that blue Tiberium. You've got it in the corner. It is very much like they just took Pipeline Problems and both engineers racing for those tip spikes. They took Pipeline Problems and they just used the mirror tool is what it looks like, and then you just have to fix up this this seam in the middle, and everything else is remarkably similar. A little bit of a switch up on the map, but it's very, very similar to Pipeline Problems. And of course, since it is 2v2, it tends to drive people towards the actual middle of the map rather than these fights happening, you know, on one side or the other. And we see a little bit less usage of this this walkway between the bases on the far left and the far right. BikeRush and Rex, strong but not invincible, as Futurama and Shoktrepet find the combination of defense and offense. Futurama able to hold off BikeRush owns, and I'm not actually sure how Rex lost his Eradicator, but Shoktrepet coming through strong with the laser capacitor Scorps in that last game. Shoktrepet maybe hoping for a repeat performance, hoping that he can get back up to those laser capacitors. Desert Rampage, also a map where you start with that blue Tiberium, green Tiberium as well. It's a little bit more spread out here on Pipeline Fusion, but it is a kind of similar concept for a map. 2 green Tiberium fields and a blue, but just a little bit more space between everything. So you do have to move your MCV. You do have to go for a little bit more of a traditional expansion. Lots of tech in the main bases of the Scrin players. Meanwhile, it's a faster walk to the natural expansion. The MCV moves happen a little bit earlier for GDI and Nod, but I believe it was a crane opener for all 4 players. Gunwalker is going to be trading some shots in the middle of the map. This buzzer just being annoying, keeping an eye on everything in the top right-hand corner of the map. Futurama trying to keep an eye on Rex. And we'll see now, because Futurama historically has a pretty good track record versus Rex specifically. So if this turns into a 1v1, 2v2 kind of situation, then it could be very good for Futurama on the right side of the map if he can continue his win streak versus Rex, especially since they are in a mirror matchup as well. Juggernaut is out. Maybe a bit overkill to use that Juggernaut to kill off just a random rifleman squad or militant squad, but it's going to be a bit of a combo play as Shoktrepet shows up for this attack as well. Gunwalker is able to kill all of the descents, and the drone ship will drop back down to the ground as the phase will cancel any damage on these harvesters. 2 of the harvesters, one of them extraordinarily close to death, and yet it will survive. Buzzer Hive is here, and Futurama just keeps up the pressure. BikeRush owns not sending anything over to help. Drops a couple of watchtowers, will be able to aid in the defense a little bit as the Scorpion tanks. No, they actually just cut off to the right side. They just went over here. They just said, we're going to kill harvesters over at the blue Tiberium. We don't care about your main base, as Futurama just keeps up the bleeding over here, killing descent after descent after descent, getting basically free kills on the production of Rex. Meanwhile, Mine Drop comes in. Zone Troopers are here as well. Scorpion tanks going to be coming through the expansion of BikeRush owns. They're going to find a kill on a Harvester. Maybe they'll find a kill on this Juggernaut as well. And what is happening to BikeRush owns? He is not holding it together as we typically see him do, but instead he's having his own set of trouble dealing with this Nod laser capacitor play. These slippery Scorpions just making their way past his defenses, sniping Harvester after Harvester, and opening up a fresh avenue for Futurama to come in and launch his own attack. Futurama hasn't finished clearing up Rex, so Rex still is a threat that will need to be reckoned with, but both players in the South have decided to take on BikeRush owns, and both players in the South also have claimed themselves EMP control centers, which could be very useful as the Scorpions come in. The Vertigos have free targets as these Juggernauts are frozen in place, and it is an absolute stomp here on Pipeline Fusion as Futurama and Shoktrepet find another win versus Bike and Rex, and that did not even look close. Rex crumbled under the pressure. BikeRush owns went so far into the tech that somehow he had nothing on the ground to actually deal with the couple of laser capacitor Scorpions that showed up in his base. Bike and Rex falling to pieces. And now we'll see if they continue to fall away here on Alpine Valleys. A 2v2 map that I don't remember seeing very much of. Everyone is liking the setup. GDI and Traveler versus Nod and Traveler. A little bit of a different map. We do still have Blue Tiberium starting fields, but, you know, you have to walk a little ways to get them. And BikeRush owns, he thinks it is worth the drive. He drops a crane, moves his MCV, looks like he gets himself a harvester, and then immediately sells off the refinery. So he has got himself a little bit of a weird build order, but he will be able to place this refinery close enough that it's not too far of a drive. And then I guess he could also take this green Tiberium field, try and take that as a forward Tiberium field. That's a much better refinery replacement once it comes online. And then BikeRush owns could even expand backwards to his original main base. Everyone else, it seems, has gone for the more traditional option. Bikes coming in, Shoktrepet going to be able to find some damage. He has actually only 3 bikes here, but still, this is going to be a decent amount of lost mining time. This blue Tiberium harvester is extremely valuable, and BikeRush owns loses it. The juking was fine, but it wasn't good enough. The bikes find the kill, and are they going to escape? Oh no, this last bike will die. Oh my gosh, he's getting so many free shots against the pit bulls, and the bike survives! BikeRush owns loses that blue Tiberium harvester, and he doesn't get the kill on the bike. Disaster after disaster, it seems. I mean, letting a bike escape is not that big of a deal. Killing a blue Tiberium harvester is certainly a big blow to BikeRush's economy. Percentage-wise, that's a large part of what he was hoping to do. Crane does get sold off, though. 2 refineries onto the main base, and BikeRush owns not going for the aggressive option. He is going to try and defend this location a little longer against these Skrin forces. Bikes coming back in, and this is almost certainly a dead harvester. The repair drones come in from Team Blue, but it's just not enough. The pit bulls get jumped on, and a couple of more seeker tanks coming in here from Rex. Double War Factory onto the front line, and there's so much time to repair these harvesters, but so much lost mining time as Bike and Rex manage to hold the line versus the attacks coming in from Futurama and Shoktrepet. Futurama losing a couple of units there. Blue Tiberium fields, they have been waited on by Future and Shock. They are, instead of rushing to them, getting to them when they've got a little bit of ground army. They've got some units to potentially support it. And now Shoktrepet is like, oh, well, I don't even need to build a refinery here because there's so many units here. I'm not going to waste my time building a refinery until I've secured this location. Here's a couple of Scorpion tanks coming in. Would love a couple of rocket squads here as well, but unfortunately for him, it's just Scorpions versus Predator tanks, and the Scorpions tend to lose that fight. Rex brings a couple of seeker tanks here as well, and it's going to be the photon cannon from Futurama try and help hold the line. So many Scorpion tanks have gone down. Portal gets deployed finally. Some descents can make their way out onto the field from Futurama, and Futurama very close to being able to secure his own blue Tiberium. Get that online, get it healthy and harvesting. Rex, he's had sort of the easiest time harvesting his blue Tiberium, and he's got a big squad of descents headed down the right side of the map. Descents with no fast legs, but we have to assume advanced articulators is being researched as I speak. And it looks like it is going to be an MCV under threat here on the left side of the map as BikeRush owns his Predator APC combo. It might be a little bit too much for Shoktrepet to handle. The portal has been eliminated, but it's replaced by a barracks courtesy of BikeRush owns. He's not just bringing the MCV along for this attack, he's bringing a barracks as well, and a power plant from Rex, who's finally gotten into the main base, found at least 2 harvesters, might even get a 3rd harvester here. It's so low on health. He gets a 3rd harvester moments before that descent squad gets eliminated, and BikeRush owns just keeps his foot on the neck of Shoktrepet. You may have killed my harvester, but you are not going to kill my army. As the repair drones come back in from Rex, this time they're a bit more useful as they heal up these Predator tanks right here on the front line. The War Factory getting knocked down, the production being cut in half, and the repairs will be denied as these Scorpion tanks are fighting tooth and nail to hold on to this position, but there's just nothing they can do against the power of BikeRush's army. Shoktrepet and Futurama, the defense was strong in those last two games, but it's not strong here as BikeRush turns his guns on the Harvester. Going to be able to knock one of them down to low health, give the Scorpion tanks a couple of extra seconds to respond, and more Scorpions going down, but more Predator tank reinforcements showing up. Hammerhead going to be camping on top of that War Factory, and it is Scorpion after Scorpion being eliminated. As long as BikeRush can keep up the reinforcements, he can keep up the kill of Shoktrepet. Futurama on the other side of the map, he's got a pretty healthy army. A decent number of gunwalkers are here. Descents getting absolutely slaughtered by these hammerheads, finding just kill after kill after kill. The gunwalkers finally showing up to deal with those hammerheads, and more descents pushing into the main base of Futurama. It is a messy, messy game for both teams as BikeRush, he's good at killing Shoktrepet, but he's not good at killing Futurama, but he is good at apparently winning this game as Rex and Bike put another point on the board. Futurama, if he had been able to get a little bit more momentum going against Rex, he could have swung in and decapitated BikeRush with that flank, but it just wasn't meant to be. Rex was too strong. Those counterattacks, too much damage for Futurama and Shoktrepet to deal with, and that'll do it for that map. We've got another game to get to. And welcome to Pandora. For the next match of this video, we have ourselves the same old thing that we have been having. Switch up on the colors a couple of these games, but other than that, Bike is loving his GDI, Shoktrepet is loving his nod, Futurama and Rex are loving those Scrin factions. A little back and forth here between BikeRush and Futurama Shoktrepet. They are proving themselves to be worthy adversaries for Bike and Rex. A little bit of pressure sometimes is too much pressure, as they did fold in that last game. Shoktrepet able to find a little bit of damage very early on, but not able to keep that damage from killing him. Kind of an unusual setup here. Your closest field, or at least this might be the closest, maybe it's equidistant, seems to put you in pretty close proximity to your opponent's natural expansion. But also, the terrain on this map does break things up a little bit, so it's not a super close walk. Your MCVs are going to be on the sort of far side of the Tiberium field, but it is not a long distance from natural expansion to natural expansion. The main bases are reasonably far apart, but not much of a difference, not much of a distance between the natural expansions. APC Pitbull. Are we going to get to see the miracle combination once again, which in 103 just seems to be so much more competent than it is in 1.02 plus. That APC Pitbull combo, it is a great greed checker in 1.02 plus and a great scouter. You know, it gives you that safety and that security early game, but it feels like it's just so much better in 103. Scorpion tank down. Harvester is getting chunked down below half health already. And Mine Drop comes in as well. So it looks like the Harvester may go down here as the reinforcements get called in. Nice juking, actually, from Shoktrepet. Saves the Harvester. And with that War Factory being so far from the front line, it bought him a lot of time as he pulled back to it. It did mean that he doesn't have those repairs as quickly, but it ended up working out nicely with that power plant to body block. Mines get swept up. BikeRush owns not finding any easy kills or free damage here. Does find a little bit of damage, but also gets caught a little bit by Futurama. These descents cleaning up those APCs, getting kill after kill, and the descents will be wiped off the face of the earth, but they have stopped that aggression. They have opened up an opportunity for Shoktrepet to throw a couple of tanks into the north. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get very much done with them. Secret tank finally goes down there, and it's going to be random rifle squad, random pitbull from BikeRush heading to the south side of the map. Rex calls in a lightning spike. He needs a little bit of extra defense against Shoktrepet. He's having some trouble with those Scorpion tanks. Rockets are here. Rifleman as well. BikeRush owns has reformed his front line. He's gone for his expansion. He's got airfield up. He's got the potential of orcas, maybe hammerheads as well. AP ammo. Oh, AP ammo hasn't started. It hasn't finished. AP ammo hasn't anything, which does feel like a bit of a mistake here from BikeRush owns. Fast legs already purchased by Rex, so he's got that upgrade ready to go, and we'll see if AP ammo ends up being a critical misstep from BikeRush owns. For now, he's got 4 APCs right here on the front line and a hammerhead, so he's able to chew through that small group of missile squads quite easily. Shuts that down and gets a little bit closer to Shoktrepet's base. Descent v Gunwalker in the far north. BikeRush owns tags a harvester there. I think that was the low health harvester from earlier as well. Slowfield comes in, nicely done there by Rex on top of the War Factory, basically on top of the power, the Hand of Nod as well. Gets all of the Scorpions caught in its midst. One harvester goes down, an extra one after the Orca strike that is, and it's going to be descents coming in. Gunwalkers have been able to deal with them easily, but Rex has a second wave ready to go. Predator tanks and APCs ready to tango, and as long as BikeRush owns can keep clipping the wings of Shoktrepet, he can stop him from getting to that critical mass. Harvester gets manages to escape for now. Prodigy gets sniped though, as Rex and Futurama go toe-to-toe with those Scrin units, and the Harvesters are paying the price ultimately. The Harvesters from Shoktrepet are kind of caught in the middle of these fights. Predator tanks now with a normal advantage in the slow field, not quite doing as hot as the Scorpion tanks managed to get a couple of shots off there. Cultists step into the slow field as well, and they get eliminated. Rex and BikeRush, their attack has evaporated. It has fallen to nothing as they both retreat and try again. Shoktrepet, once again, the lowest earner in this game, 10 grand behind second place, or I guess third place, which is actually Rex, who is down 5K from everyone else. But that's not stopping Rex from going on the offense. He's lost a decent amount of descents, but he's still trying to get it. Actually, he gets that War Factory. That helps make up for that income difference a little bit, and he gets the kill on the Prodigy of Futurama as well. An amazing capture and kill there by Rex, completely stunting Futurama. His production has been basically cut in half, and massive beacons coming in over here. Cultists hoping to find some of these units, but Scorpion tanks will be able to clean up a number of these Gunwalkers as they try to retreat to Rex's base. AP ammo has finally finished up for BikeRush owns, and the Black Hand Squad going to be holding its own against the descents in the south. And meanwhile, it looks like everything that BikeRush had gets diverted to different areas of the map. He's got defenses up here, his hammerhead swinging back through, but he's got units down south trying to defend against this Black Hand Squad as well. BikeRush owns finally regroups his army, reforms his front line, and he is ready to go. Railgun upgrades on these Predator tanks, they make them that much more fearsome. Orcas finding a couple of shots here, but the Orca will pay the price for it. Scorpion tanks versus laser capacitor, or Scorpion tanks with laser capacitors versus these Predator tanks with their railguns. It's a battle of the upgrades, and BikeRush owns gets a couple of free shots there. It is going to be a retreat to the MCV. The Marv is here as well. The Venom's giving vision of this retreating army as Rex shows up with his Eradicator Hexapod, and he's going to chew through these Scorpion tanks. 2, 3, 4, 5 kills on those Scorpion tanks as the Venoms chase away the Hammerheads, trying to find the damage. Futurama joins the fight. He may be a little bit late to the party, but he's got packs, he's got tripods, he's got gunwalkers all ready to go. And these Venoms may actually be able to find a couple of critical kills here. Clearing out those cultists can be incredibly valuable, but they're not able to get everything. The anti-air defenses come in and the cultists get rebuilt regardless. Sniper teams from BikeRush getting called in. MCV is here. Repairs onto the front line. AA batteries onto the front line. BikeRush is wanting to leave nothing to chance. Juggernauts versus Spectres. Packs versus the Marv, and through it all, the railguns on the ground are going to target anything they can. Marv backs up, not wanting to get EMP'd. Not a lot of cash in the bank for BikeRush to be able to call in his support powers. If he actually had a Space Command uplink, maybe calling in an EMP to lock down some of these units, shut down some of this production could be critical. Area Mind Control kills the Spectre. Kills the Spectre. Area Mind Control turning Shoktrepet's units against their friends. Futurama hoping to be able to swing the tide of things, but Rex shows up and he's got an Eradicator still out on the field. Epic units are only on the left side of the map. 2 Predator tanks pay the price as the Spectre shots land on the Preds. Another Harvester is bugged as the Juggernauts just get free range on anything that steps forward into that Tiberium field. It gets shelled immediately. Corruptors, so many of them tagged onto this Eradicator, and it just doesn't seem to matter, but the phase will fire off. The orbital bombardment is here. BikeRush owns finds his support powers, and he clears out that line of tripods. The pack gets set forward, but the pack gets broken apart, and the Juggernauts continue unopposed on the ground. The Marv with 3 engineers inside of it, pushing the front line forward, and the GG comes out. Futurama and Shoktrepet unable to hold the line. The defense just not enough as Bike and Rex get another win. And that will do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this 2v2 action, and this is Sybert signing out.